what's up guys? Anthony here for Rev3 Games. I am joined by Randy Pitchford, President and CEO of Gearbox.
Hello.
Hello! We just played some Borderlands 2.
Woo!
I gotta say, I've played this a couple times now, and it just feels to me like whatever self-restraining leash you guys were on for Borderlands, and it didn't seem like there was much of one, it feels like it's just gone now. Like you guys are just going crazy with this.
You know, it's about having fun.
Yeah.
And when we have fun, when we're making this stuff, everyone that plays it has fun. And that's one of the best things we learned out of our experience with Borderlands is when the passion and energy of the talent, of the people on the team comes through in the game, it really just it creates an environment where it's just entertaining as hell.
Yeah, well, Borderlands was kind of a very new thing for you guys.
Yeah.
In terms of tone and in terms of genre, and it's kind of famous now that you guys did a gut check like midway through, and kind of scrapped a lot and sort of.
We changed the art direction.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Okay.
I mean, the game design was always there.
All right.
But you know, the analogy that I tell about that, if you're curious.
I am curious.
The analogy is, you know, like in the automobile industry, when they make a concept car?
Yeah.
And the concept car is awesome, right? Have you seen, you know what I'm talking about? They're
yeah. They all look like Tron.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
But they never build the concept car.
Right.
Right? And what happens is you get a lot of people involved and there's people putting money in and time, and they're gonna have to build factories and manufacture a lot of these things. And they get afraid and they think that, look, this is cool and it's awesome, but no one's ever bought that before. So let's kind of just tweak it just a little bit to make it more like something that we've seen that other people have already bought.
Yeah.
And when you do that to everything over and over again, the concept car gets distilled down until it looks like something we've already had.
Right.
And we were doing the same thing. Like our concept art is awesome. And we have some of the best concept artists in the world. Lauren and Scott and I mean, just amazing dudes. And when we were actually working on it though, we started boiling it down to be this kind of realistic kind of thing. And it turns out that we should have just taken the risk. The identity of the game, the flavor and character of the game demanded this kind of loose look. And so when we committed to the concept art and tried to imagine what would it look like if the concept art was in the real world, that's the look and feel of Borderlands.
So for Borderlands 2, you guys kind of, you went with your heart on the first one and it paid off hugely. When you're doing 2, is there kind of a fear because one paid off so well to kind of get a little bit more conservative again? Is it like, is it kind of hard when you're making that second game in a series to be like, but we can go even more all out. We can change it even more.
You know, we definitely committed to what was fun about Borderlands in terms of the gameplay loops, but we used that sequel to polish and iterate and perfect those formulas. And so we've got all new areas to visit, all new characters to meet, new adventures to go on, new characters to become, and new skills to play as. So, you know, if you've played Borderlands, you're gonna find the discovery to be really exciting and surprising. And whether you played Borderlands or not, you'll know that jumping in now, this is the most polished you can do with this kind of promise, this kind of approach to game design.
Very cool. So you guys kind of got started, you did Half-Life Opposing Forces, you kind of came up kind of doing these expansions and like you said, kind of like doing this thing where it was kind of like making the version of the car that people knew they wanted, right? Maybe.
Well, think like back when we did Half-Life Opposing Force. Imagine what you would expect out of an expansion to a first-person shooter. The typical, like there have been some for Quake, we did some for Duke Nukem when I worked at 3D Realms. What we did with Half-Life Opposing Force was actually quite a bit of a risk. The first thing was, wow, you're going to follow Half-Life? Yeah. Good luck, buddy. And that's what everybody was kind of looking at us like when we got started. Then what we did was we said, hey, instead of like doing more as Gordon Freeman and like continuing the adventure, what if you went to Black Mesa as one of the soldiers, one of the bad guys? Yeah. What if we turned it on its head? And we really kind of took a new angle at it that was really exciting and fun. And I think that's in our DNA. We're not we're not opposed to. In fact, we love working with other people's stuff because some of the best stuff in the world was created by other people. There's some awesome stuff in the world. And I'd always love to maintain enough credibility where if we want to get involved with somebody else's awesome stuff, that they would love to trust us with that. And it would be kind of an honor for them if we were to get involved with it. And I want to make sure, I want to try to earn that credibility at everything I do. But when we do, I want what we do with it to be something that comes from us, that wouldn't have existed but for us. And the angle we take is kind of unique to the studio. And that's true of every project we've done. Yeah, at the beginning of our studio, you know, when we launched Opposing Force, we were 12 guys.
Yeah.
You know, so it was really awesome for us to be able to get into a project where we didn't have to write the engine, we didn't have to create a universe, we didn't have, you know, we were really kind of focused in our mission, and that was really suitable for the size of our studio at the time and the kind of bet that was natural and responsible to take with where we were.
Does something like Colonial Marines feel more like doing something like Opposing Force, or more like working in your own sandbox?
Well, it's a little bit of both, in the sense that there's never been a video game in that franchise that has been an original story that's been in canon. This is the first time that's happened. So Aliens Colonial Marines is really unique in that respect. And we created it. So when we're working with 20th Century Fox, one of the things that's awesome about Fox that I never would have guessed, I never would have predicted, they actually get talent. They're like, look, we made a bet on you, and we trust you guys, and we know you love the material, and we know you know the material probably as well as us, if not better than us, and we know you're going to do it right. But having said that, it is not our universe.
Right.
Ridley Scott created this universe, and from the very first moment that Brian Martell, one of my partners at Gearbox, one of the owners of the company, the director of Aliens Colonial Marines, from the first moment when he sat down with Ridley Scott, long before there was any business deals even contemplated, let alone existing, and they explored the idea together creatively, that, like, from the very beginning, we knew that the reason why we want to do this is because we love that universe. It's inspired us. It's inspired a generation. And there's an itch that hasn't been scratched properly that we've had ever since we saw the movie. When we saw the first couple of movies, we want that next step with these Colonial Marines that were introduced in James Cameron's film. And we've never really had that properly in canon. We've never had that itch scratched. Some people have made attempts to scratch that itch in other fiction, like...
there's a great comic universe based on it. There's a novelization
and sometimes
universe.
It's even new IP that has nothing to do with Aliens, where you kind of borrow from it. Like, you know, John Romero famously said, like, Doom was really us just kind of wanting to do Aliens. You know, when we were working on Duke Nukem 3D, when I worked at 3D Realms, like, all the Alien stuff is just totally aping Giger's artwork, and we have facehuggers in the game. Look at the Halo.
Yeah.
The sergeant in Halo is basically a Pwn from Aliens, right? So
I feel like it's just such a template for all modern action and like all modern. Yeah, it really is.
It's really wild.
Anytime in a movie I see a team get together to fight something, I'm like, oh, Aliens.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, I've been stealing from it like forever. So it's really nice to be able to work in that space, and I'm really grateful that we get a chance to do it.
Yeah. So you started off, like you said, at Apogee and 3D Realms, like making Duke Nukem 3D. What did it feel like just to put Duke Nukem Forever out?
Well, you know, it's awesome. The thing that isn't awesome is the fact that the studio 3D Realms shut down.
Sure.
And 3D Realms got into a spot where they couldn't finish. That sucks. And that day when we'd learned that the doors were getting closed and everybody's getting laid off. Like, I have a lot of friends over there, and that was rough, man. That was a really tough day, but I was really, you know, it took us some time to kind of figure out that we could be the ones to help. And if we didn't jump in there, no one would have. Like, there was just no other scenario. So you know, you kind of feel like you're a doctor and someone's dying, and you don't like, I'm gonna save this life. And I'll tell you, I am so proud of it. That was a very challenging situation. You have a software that's been developed over a decade.
Yeah.
And you know, to put it to assemble it and prepare it for a commercial launch on the platforms was a Herculean effort. I think, you know, Mike Wardwell was the senior producer on that, and I'm gonna say that game shipping is evidence that Gearbox has the best producers in the world. Because that was impossible. Like, there's no reasonable explanation for why that game exists.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's a blast. Like, there's nothing like it in the world.
You guys putting your own stamp on it and putting it out there. How did you feel about kind of public reaction to it?
I felt pretty good. I mean, it made a lot of, you know, it's kind of like, I don't know if you watch movies at all, but like around the same time that Duke Forever came out, The Hangover 2 came out in movie theaters, and I loved it, you know, and it was like, you know, I saw The Hangover, which was surprising because it was the first time we had that, but, you know, Hangover 2 was surprising in all the little details that happened, but it was so committed to what The Hangover was supposed to be that like it wasn't like a whole new thing, but it was a great ride. It was a lot of fun. The Hangover didn't take 15 years to make, so I think that's a huge difference. When it launched, it was the biggest opening for the year, and I think it got like a 35% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's, you know, the kind of humor in what it is. You know, it is what it is. And I think Duke found itself in, I mean, it scored a lot higher than 35%, but nobody's going like, this is Citizen Kane.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it sold a lot, and it was, you know, in its launch window, it was #1, you know, so I think it kind of landed the way it was supposed to. I think anyone that was waiting for the game for 15 years and expecting, you know, something that would just make your head explode.
Right.
Like, it's Duke Nukem. Right?
Yeah.
And if you want to do the things that Duke can do, there's nothing else in the world like it. And it's, I loved the experience. I had so much fun playing it.
Is there another sandbox that you'd like to play with? Another group of characters you'd like to take on? Or are you guys going to stick to kind of doing more original stuff for a little while?
There's a lot of cool stuff in the world.
Yeah.
And there's a number of things we've kind of played with and looked at. And there's some folks, you know, we're always talking to, and there's possibilities that also always can happen. There's some things we might even be involved in that we haven't announced yet. I'm not going to announce anything right now.
You could if you wanted. It's just like 4 of us up on a roof.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And then there's also, like, we've got our Borderlands brand. We've got Brothers in Arms. We acquired Duke Nukem. You know, so that's fun too. You know, when I acquired Duke Nukem, I didn't acquire the brand just to make sure that Duke Forever could launch. I acquired the brand because I want to, like, Gearbox would want to make its own Duke Nukem game. And,
I feel like you've got some artists and writers in-house where if you started from scratch, you could make something really crazy.
Probably awesome, right?
Yeah.
So, again, we haven't announced anything, but we could do a lot of things.
Yeah.
And we could do original stuff, and we love working on really cool properties that other people have that inspire us, so.
Very cool. Well, I'm looking forward to everything you guys have in the future. Borderlands 2 creeping up on us, right?
It's not far away. September 18th.
September 18th.
We are freaking out.
Awesome.
Because, like, first of all, the game's pretty much done.
Yeah.
So, like, we're polishing it. We're getting it ready for certification, which means we're all playing the shit out of it. And holy crap, it destroys anything we've ever done before. Like, it makes Borderlands 1 look like the Stone Age.
Yeah. I've loved everything I've played so far.
So much. And yeah, thank you so much. And you know, it sucks to hear a guy who's clearly got something to do with it saying, this is great, but you'll see for yourself and you'll judge it. I think it's amazing. So I think people are really in for a treat.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me. Tara has played the exact same demo that I just played, and it's awesome. She's going to sit down with the design producer, Randy Varnell, interview him a little bit about what's new in Borderlands 2, so be sure that you are subscribed here at Rev3 Games so you don't miss that.